Have you ever considered how much stuff you really need to be happy? It's a question that might seem simple on the surface, but dig a little deeper and you'll find it's anything but. Welcome to the world of consumerism, a societal phenomenon that has become an integral part of our lives. It's the driving force behind our economies, our lifestyles, and arguably our happiness. At its core, consumerism is the preoccupation with the acquisition of goods and services in ever-increasing amounts. But let's pause for a moment and consider the implications. On an individual level, consumerism often leads to clutter, financial stress, and a never-ending chase for the next big thing. It's a cycle that can feel impossible to break, one where satisfaction is always just one purchase away. And then there's the environmental impact. The production, packaging, and disposal of goods take a toll on our planet. We're depleting resources, polluting the environment, and contributing to climate change at an alarming rate, all in the name of consumption. But what if there was a different way? What if we told you there's a lifestyle that challenges the status quo, that goes against the grain of consumerism? Enter minimalism. It's not just about having less, it's about making room for more time, more peace, more experiences. Minimalism is about identifying what truly adds value to your life and letting go of the rest. It's about making conscious, intentional choices about what you bring into your life and what you choose to let go. It's not a destination, but a journey, a continuous process of reassessing and recalibrating. And the best part? Minimalism doesn't demand that you live in a stark white room with a single chair. It's not one size fits all. Your version of minimalism might look different from someone else's, and that's okay. It's a personal journey, one that's unique to you. But is there another way to live, one that doesn't revolve around accumulating stuff? The answer is yes, and it's called minimalism. It's not a quick fix, but a lifestyle change, a shift in mindset. And who knows, it might just be the answer you've been looking for. Meet John, a self-made millionaire who lives a minimalist lifestyle. John wasn't always a minimalist. There was a time when he was caught in the consumerist cycle, constantly chasing the latest gadgets, the newest fashion trends, the biggest houses. He found himself working longer hours to afford the lifestyle society had convinced him he needed. But despite his material wealth, John felt a nagging emptiness. One day, John stumbled upon the concept of minimalism. He was intrigued by the idea of living with less and started to question his consumerist lifestyle. He began to wonder if he was living for himself or for the sake of impressing others. This realization triggered a seismic shift in his life. John decided to make a change. He started decluttering his life, one item at a time. He sold his flashy car, moved into a smaller house, and donated most of his clothes. He went digital, getting rid of unnecessary physical clutter. He stopped buying things on impulse and started investing in experiences instead. The transformation was remarkable. John found that by owning less, he had more. More time, more money, more peace of mind. He no longer had to work long hours to maintain his lifestyle. He could save more, invest more, and give more. He found joy and simplicity in the space he had created for himself. His relationships improved as he had more time to invest in them. His stress levels went down and his health improved. He discovered passions he never knew he had. His focus shifted from acquiring wealth to building a life of meaning and purpose. John's journey to minimalism didn't diminish his wealth. In fact, it amplified it. It allowed him to redefine what success meant to him. It wasn't about the number of zeros in his bank account or the size of his house. It was about the quality of his life, the depth of his relationships, the impact he could make. John's story shows us that success and wealth don't have to equate to more stuff. His journey serves as a powerful reminder of the freedom, peace, and joy that come with choosing less. It's a testament to the profound impact minimalism can have on our lives. Now, let's take a look at the Smith family, who swapped their suburban home for a minimalist lifestyle. The Smiths, John, Mary, and their two children, Emily and Tim, were once deeply entrenched in the consumerist lifestyle. Their four-bedroom home was filled to the brim with possessions. As Mary puts it, "We had so much stuff, we couldn't even remember where it all came from." But then, they discovered minimalism. Intrigued by the idea of living with less, they decided to make a drastic change. they sold their home and most of their possessions, choosing to move into a smaller, two-bedroom apartment. The transition, as you can imagine, was not without its challenges. The kids had to part with many of their toys. John had to let go of his extensive book collection, and Mary had to bid farewell to her closet full of clothes. There were disagreements, tears, and second thoughts. But each time the doubts crept in, they reminded themselves of why they started this journey: to find happiness in experiences and relationships, not things. And they did find that happiness. With fewer possessions to manage, they found they had more time to spend with each other, time to explore new hobbies, and time to create memories. Instead of spending weekends shopping or cleaning, they began hiking, playing board games, and hosting dinner parties. Their relationships with each other deepened as they spent more quality time together. The benefits of their minimalist lifestyle extended beyond their family unit. They discovered a newfound appreciation for the environment, and their reduction in consumption led to less waste. Their stress levels dropped, and they found themselves more content with their lives. Minimalism, for the Smiths, wasn't about deprivation. It was about making conscious decisions about what truly added value to their lives. It was about choosing quality over quantity, experiences over possessions, and relationships over status. The Smith story shows us that minimalism can be a family affair, with benefits for everyone involved. What can we learn from John and the Smiths? What are the benefits of minimalism? The stories of John and the Smiths have revealed some compelling benefits of minimalism. They've shown us how this philosophy, when applied correctly, can lead to a life of greater meaning, purpose, and satisfaction. Firstly, let's talk about financial freedom, a benefit that John very clearly demonstrated. By choosing to live with less, John was able to save more. He wasn't caught in the cycle of earning and spending that so many of us find ourselves in. Instead, he focused on what he truly needed, cutting out unnecessary expenses and thereby accumulating wealth over time. This isn't about being stingy or depriving oneself, but about being mindful of where our money goes and realizing that we often spend on things we don't truly need. The Smiths, on the other hand, highlighted improved relationships as a key benefit of their minimalist lifestyle. With fewer material possessions to maintain and worry about, they found they had more time to spend with each other. They could focus on strengthening their bonds, having meaningful conversations, and creating shared memories. This is a powerful reminder that often it's not the things we own, but the relationships we foster that bring us the most joy and fulfillment. Finally, both John and the Smiths showed us how minimalism can lead to a greater focus on experiences. By not cluttering their lives with stuff, they were able to focus on doing things rather than having things. They could travel, explore new hobbies, or simply enjoy the beauty of a quiet afternoon. They recognize that experiences, not possessions, are what truly enrich our lives. Minimalism, then, is not just about having less. It's about making room for more. More savings, more meaningful relationships, and more enriching experiences. It's about understanding that the good life is not found in accumulating things, but in appreciating what we have and seeking out experiences that bring us true joy and fulfillment. As we've seen, minimalism has the potential to enhance our lives in many ways. Are you ready to challenge the consumerist mindset and embrace minimalism? Well, hold on to your seats because we're about to embark on a journey that could change your life. It's called the Minimalist Challenge. This challenge is not about stripping away all of your possessions or living like a hermit. It's about understanding what you need and what you don't. It's about decluttering your life, both physically and mentally. The first step is to take stock. Look around your home, your workspace, even your digital space. Identify the items that you haven't used or even thought about in the last 6 months. These are the items that you can probably live without. The second step is to declutter. This doesn't have to be a drastic, overnight process. Start with something small, like a single drawer or a shelf. Remove the items you don't need and organize the items you do. You'll be surprised by how much space you can free up and how satisfying it can be. The third step is to implement a one-in, one-out rule. Every time you bring a new item into your space, get rid of an old one. This will help you maintain the balance and prevent unnecessary clutter from accumulating. The fourth step is to appreciate the non-material aspects of life. Spend quality time with loved ones, pursue a hobby, enjoy nature. These experiences can bring far more joy than any material possession. The final step is to practice mindful shopping. Before you purchase something, ask yourself if you really need it. Sleep on it for a day or two. If you still want it after that, then go ahead. But more often than not, you'll find that the urge to buy fades away. Remember, minimalism isn't about deprivation. It's about focusing on what truly matters. So, are you ready to take the minimalist challenge?
Does your mind ever feel like a room filled with cluttered thoughts, where finding peace seems next to impossible? Let's paint a picture. Imagine a room crammed from floor to ceiling with objects, each representing a thought, a worry, a responsibility, an obligation. There's an overwhelming sense of chaos, isn't there? This room, it's an analogy for our minds. A cluttered mind is like a cluttered room filled with unnecessary items where you can barely move, let alone find anything. It's a space that's crowded with thoughts, anxieties, and worries where peace of mind feels like a far-off dream. Consider the stress that a cluttered room brings. The constant tripping over items, the frustration of not being able to locate what you need, the pressure of knowing there's a mess to clean up. Now think about how that translates to a cluttered mind. The stress of juggling multiple thoughts and responsibilities, the frustration of not being able to focus, the pressure of unresolved issues and unmet expectations. A cluttered mind can cause anxiety. It's like being in a room where every item is screaming for your attention, causing you to flit from one to another, never truly able to focus or relax. It's a state of constant mental noise where silence and peace are drowned out by the incessant chatter of thoughts. And just as a cluttered room can be difficult to navigate, so too is a cluttered mind. It's hard to find peace in a space that's filled with chaos. It's hard to think clearly when your mind is crowded with thoughts. It's hard to focus on what truly matters when you're constantly distracted by the noise of your own thoughts. But what if there was a way to declutter this room, to clear away the unnecessary, to create space, to bring order to the chaos? What if there was a way to bring the same sense of calm and tranquility to your mind? Imagine if there was a way to declutter this room, to clear your mind and create space for peace and tranquility. Have you ever considered minimalism as a tool for achieving peace of mind? Let's take a moment to delve into the concept of minimalism. Minimalism isn't a one-size-fits-all concept. Instead, it's a philosophy that encourages you to find value in less, thereby fostering contentment and peace. At its core, minimalism is about reducing excess. It's about removing the unnecessary, the distractions, the clutter, be it physical or mental, and keeping only what truly brings value to our lives. It's not merely about having fewer possessions, although that's often a part of it. Rather, it's about making intentional decisions about what to keep and what to let go. The principles of minimalism extend beyond the physical realm. It's not just about decluttering your home or your workspace, but also about decluttering your thoughts, your commitments, and your time. It's about focusing on what truly matters, discarding the rest, and creating space for peace, joy, and fulfillment. Imagine your mind as a room filled with objects, thoughts, worries, plans, dreams. Over time, this room can become cluttered with unnecessary items, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and stressed. But what if you could declutter this room? What if you could remove the items that are no longer serving you, making space for clarity and peace? That's the power of minimalism. It's not about deprivation or living with the bare minimum. It's about making conscious choices and cultivating an environment, both physically and mentally, that supports your well-being and happiness. It's about realizing that less can indeed be more, and that by simplifying, we can create a life of greater quality and meaning. It's like cleaning out that cluttered room, removing the unnecessary and keeping only what brings value and joy. So as we continue this journey, let's consider how we can apply the principles of minimalism to our own lives, creating space for peace of mind. What benefits can minimalism bring to your life and your state of mind? Let's dive right into it. One of the most significant advantages of embracing a minimalist lifestyle is the reduction of stress. Imagine a space where everything has its place, where you're not constantly tripping over clutter, both physically and metaphorically. It's soothing, isn't it? That's what minimalism can offer. When you minimize your possessions, you're not just decluttering your physical space, you're also decluttering your mind. You're freeing up mental energy that was previously spent on managing and worrying about stuff. As a result, your stress levels decrease and you feel more at ease. The second benefit of minimalism is increased focus. With fewer distractions around you, it's easier to concentrate on the task at hand. Whether it's a work project, a hobby, or even just a good book, minimalism allows you to fully immerse yourself in the moment. Imagine a world where you're not constantly interrupted by a buzzing phone, a cluttered desk, or an overcrowded schedule. That's the world that minimalism can help you create. Next, let's talk about free time. When you're not constantly buying, organizing, or cleaning stuff, you have more time for things that truly matter to you. This could be spending quality time with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply enjoying a moment of quiet solitude. The minimalist lifestyle is not about depriving yourself, rather it's about making space for more meaningful experiences. And finally, the overarching benefit of minimalism is peace of mind. When you simplify your life, you're not just getting rid of physical clutter, you're also eliminating unnecessary worries, distractions, and obligations. This creates a sense of calm and tranquility that permeates every aspect of your life. With less clutter in your mind and in your life, there's more room for peace, joy, and things that truly matter. So why not give minimalism a try and see how it can transform your life? How does minimalism lead to peace of mind? This is a question that many of us have pondered. The answer lies in the very essence of minimalism itself. Minimalism is not just about owning fewer things, it's about reducing the clutter and distractions that cloud our minds and our lives. Imagine your mind as a room. Now imagine this room is filled with all sorts of items, furniture, decorations, knickknacks, and so on. It's so full that it's hard to move around, hard to think, hard to breathe. This is akin to a cluttered mind, filled with worries, fears, and tasks that are constantly vying for our attention. Now imagine removing some of these items. As you do, the room starts to open up. There's more space to move, more air to breathe. You can see things more clearly. This is what minimalism does for our minds. By reducing the clutter in our lives, we reduce the clutter in our minds. We create space for clarity, for focus, for peace. A minimalist lifestyle encourages us to focus on what truly matters, on what brings us joy and fulfillment. It's about removing the excess so we can appreciate the essential. When we do this, we find that our minds are less burdened, less anxious. We can think more clearly, make decisions more easily, and live with greater intention. And this in turn leads to a sense of peace. There's a tranquility that comes from knowing you have exactly what you need, and nothing more. It's a calm that stems from the absence of chaos and confusion. The noise and distractions fade away, leaving a serene silence in their place. Minimalism is not about deprivation. It's about liberation. Liberation from the unnecessary, the distracting, the burdensome. It's about creating a life that reflects our values, our passions, our dreams. It's about living with purpose and intention and finding peace in simplicity. Minimalism is like a breath of fresh air for your mind, clearing out the fog and allowing you to see and appreciate the beauty of life more clearly. So, can minimalism really help achieve peace of mind? Let's revisit what we've discussed so far to answer this question. We started our journey by exploring the concept of the cluttered mind. We've all experienced the overwhelming feeling of having too many thoughts, too many things, too much noise. It's like standing in the middle of a crowded room with everyone talking at once. It's stressful, it's chaotic, and it's far from peaceful. Then we delved into the principles of minimalism. It's not about having less for the sake of having less. Rather, it's about making intentional choices to only surround ourselves with things that add value to our lives. It's about saying no to the excess and yes to the essential. It's about choosing quality over quantity and purpose over possession. Next, we discussed the benefits of minimalism. Not only does it free up physical space, but it also clears mental space. By reducing the number of things we have to worry about or take care of, we can focus more on what truly matters. We can spend more time on our passions, our relationships, our personal growth. We can live more with less. Finally, we connected the dots between minimalism and peace of mind. When our surroundings are clear, our minds are clear. When our minds are clear, we can think more effectively, make better decisions, and feel more at ease. We can find joy in simplicity and tranquility in decluttering. We can find peace in minimalism. So to answer our opening question, yes, minimalism can indeed help achieve peace of mind. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and it's not an overnight transformation, but it's a journey worth embarking on, a lifestyle worth embracing, a mindset worth cultivating. The journey to peace of mind doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's about removing the unnecessary and focusing on the essential. That's the beauty of minimalism.
Have you ever thought about how many decisions you make in a day based on the sheer amount of stuff you own? Let's take a moment and ponder. From the moment you wake up, you're inundated with choices. What clothes to wear, what breakfast to eat, which route to take to work, and that's just the beginning. Now, try to magnify that to encompass all the decisions you make in a week, a month, or a year. It's a staggering number, isn't it? It's the paradox of choice. The more options we have, the more overwhelmed we become. This is a symptom of our contemporary consumerist society. We're living in an era of abundance where we can access an array of goods and services with a click of a button or a stroll down a supermarket aisle. Yet, this abundance can lead to decision fatigue, reducing our happiness and increasing our stress levels. But what if there was a way out? A way to simplify our lives, to reduce the number of decisions we have to make, and to focus on what truly matters. Enter minimalism. Minimalism isn't about owning less for the sake of owning less. It's about making deliberate choices, about deciding what's truly important and letting go of the rest. It's about decluttering not just our homes, but our lives and our minds. It's about living with intentionality, where every item we own, every decision we make serves a purpose. This isn't a new concept, but it's one that's gaining traction in our increasingly complex world. Minimalism is a response to the overconsumption, to the decision fatigue, to the stress that's become so prevalent in our society. More than a design style or a trend, minimalism is a mindset, a philosophy, a way of life. So, let's take a step back from the hustle and bustle, from the constant noise of consumerism. Let's embrace the simplicity, the clarity, the peace that comes with minimalism. Imagine a life where you have more time, more money, and less stress. That's what minimalism can offer. Now, let's take a look at a real-life example to better understand the benefits of minimalism. Imagine someone we'll call Alex. Alex was once a classic consumer, always chasing the latest and greatest, from tech gadgets to fashion trends. His life was a whirlwind of purchases, but he found himself feeling overwhelmed and unsatisfied. His home was cluttered, his bank account was often depleted, and he felt a constant pressure to keep up with the Joneses. Feeling trapped in this cycle, Alex decided to make a change. He began to explore minimalism. The initial steps were challenging, to say the least. The idea of parting with his possessions was daunting. After all, he'd spent a lot of time and money acquiring them. But he started small, decluttering one room at a time and selling or donating items he no longer needed or used. Gradually, Alex started to see the benefits of his new lifestyle. His home became a place of peace, free from clutter. He discovered that he was spending less time cleaning, organizing, and maintaining his possessions, and more time doing things he loved. His stress levels decreased, and he found himself enjoying a newfound sense of freedom. The financial benefits were also significant. By buying less, Alex was able to save more. He was no longer living paycheck to paycheck, but was able to put money aside for his future, and even take a few trips he'd always dreamed of. But perhaps the most profound change was in Alex's mindset. He discovered that the things he owned didn't define him. He found contentment in simplicity and satisfaction in knowing that he was making conscious, intentional decisions about his consumption. This transformation might seem extreme, but it's about finding what works for you. It's not about deprivation, but about freedom. Alex's story is a testament to the power of minimalism. But remember, your journey is your own. It's about making choices that align with your values and improve your quality of life. It's not about having less for the sake of less, but about making room for more. More time, more peace, more freedom. So, what did our case study gain from adopting a minimalist lifestyle? It's a pertinent question. We all seek fulfillment and contentment in our lives, and it's fascinating to see how a rejection of excess can lead to the attainment of these goals. Firstly, let's talk about financial freedom. With a minimalist approach, our case study began to spend less on items that were not necessary or did not add value to their life. This meant fewer impulse purchases, less money spent on maintaining possessions, and a reduction in debt. As a result, they gained greater control over their finances, enabling them to invest in experiences rather than things, and even save for the future. But the benefits of minimalism extend beyond the financial. Our case study also experienced less stress. A cluttered environment often leads to a cluttered mind, and by removing unnecessary items from their life, they were able to focus more on the present moment and less on their possessions. This reduced stress levels and increased their overall well-being. Time, as we all know, is a precious commodity. With minimalism, our case study found they had more of it. They spent less time cleaning, organizing, and managing their possessions, which freed up hours that could be spent on hobbies, relationships, or personal growth. In a world where we're constantly racing against the clock, the gift of time is invaluable. Let's not forget about happiness. The pursuit of happiness is a universal endeavor, and our case study found that minimalism brought them closer to this elusive goal. By focusing less on material possessions and more on experiences and relationships, they found greater joy and satisfaction. They discovered that happiness isn't found in the latest gadget or fashion trend, but in the simple pleasures of life. And finally, minimalism helped our case study live a more purposeful life. By removing the excess, they were able to identify what was truly important to them. This clarity of purpose guided their decisions and actions, leading to a life that was more aligned with their values and aspirations. But let's dispel a common misconception. Minimalism doesn't mean you have to live without. It's not about deprivation, but about intentionality. It's about choosing to include in your life only those things that serve a purpose or bring joy. It's about removing the excess so you can focus on the essential. So, remember, minimalism isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a personal journey that looks different for everyone. What's important is that it's a conscious decision to live with less in order to gain more. As you can see, minimalism isn't just about having less stuff. It's about making room for what truly matters. Interested in trying out minimalism? Here are some practical steps to get you started. Firstly, let's talk about decluttering. It's the heart and soul of minimalism. Start by assessing your surroundings. Look at each item and ask yourself, does this add value to my life? If the answer is no, consider letting it go. Remember, this isn't about getting rid of everything you own. It's about making space for the things that truly matter. Next, think about your buying habits. Are you a habitual shopper? Do you often buy things on a whim? If so, try implementing a 30-day rule. If you want to buy something, wait 30 days. If you still want it after a month, then go for it. More often than not, you'll find that the urge to buy passes. This practice not only saves money, but also helps you avoid unnecessary clutter. Now, let's shift our focus to experiences over possessions. Consider this. When you look back on your life, what will you remember? The things you owned or the experiences you had? Most people would say the latter. So, instead of buying a new gadget or piece of clothing, invest in experiences. Travel, learn a new skill, or spend time with loved ones. These are the things that enrich our lives. Another essential aspect of embracing minimalism is mindfulness. Be present in each moment and appreciate what you have. This helps you resist the urge to constantly want more and allows you to find contentment in simplicity. Lastly, remember to be patient with yourself. Transitioning to a minimalist lifestyle isn't an overnight process. It takes time to break old habits and form new ones, so take it one step at a time. Remember, minimalism isn't a one-size-fits-all. It's about finding what brings you joy and letting go of the rest. So, could minimalism be the answer to our consumerist society's problems? We've taken a deep dive into the ocean of consumerism and surfaced with a new perspective. We've seen how the multitude of choices can be more overwhelming than liberating, creating a paradox of choice that leaves us feeling unsatisfied. We've explored the concept of minimalism, not as a restrictive way of life, but as an empowering tool. It helps us focus on what truly matters, cutting through the noise of unnecessary consumption. We've discussed the benefits of this approach, from financial to environmental and even psychological. It promises a life less cluttered, more meaningful, and ultimately more satisfying. We've also looked at how to start this journey towards minimalism. Small, consistent steps can lead to big changes over time. Whether you choose to adopt minimalism or not, the choice is yours. But remember, less can indeed be more.